Welcome, friends, to the Gaijin Animation Appreciation Hour with your hosts, Sig Bisley and Colt Mauser. Before we get started, please be sure to like this video and subscribe for more content just like this. Now, let the animation appreciation commence.
Drinking sake out of a glass this big just seems wrong.
It is Korean sake. I mean, you know.
Seems like it's going to get you in a lot of trouble at some point. So big.
I think you save a breath. Save your breath, man, like you can manage it.
So big.
That's what she said?
You hope. You wish.
Whatever. Anyway, what the fuck are we talking about today?
Let's see. So we got the ultra manliness of Captain Harlock, Arcadia of my youth.
My youth in Arcadia. Whichever way you want to say it.
Yeah, I've seen it
Oh,
both
good.
ways. I think it's Arcadia of my youth.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
That's what the movie told me.
Got
Anyway, we're going to talk about, since Netflix went balls out on Korean stuff, we're going to talk about HELLBOUND.
HELLBOUND. Hellraiser 2. Oh, wait, we're not going to know about Hellraiser 2.
Close enough.
We could.
What was the other thing?
Batman, The Long Halloween, son.
Oh, yeah. I made a solemn vow to read it, and I did.
Yeah,
Because I'm a big boy.
We'll compare and contrast the
Took like 2 whole hours.
the graphic novel with the animated adaptation that just came out. Second part of which just came out on HBO Max. And then we got the usual.
The news.
The news. All right, so first up here on the news is quick announcement, but 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim is coming out on Nintendo Switch from Vanillaware. So I know a lot of people are into their stuff.
I'm into it.
Let's see. The director is the same guy who did Dragon's Crown and Odin Sphere, which, you know, pretty damn classic. I have like a PS4 Odin Sphere Collector's Edition because it's cool and the artwork is awesome and not fit for Twitter nowadays. But yeah, it's coming to the Switch, which is cool. Yeah, I don't know much about the game, but you know, anything that Vanillaware has done, I'm into. So look forward to it coming out. Looks like April of next year. Hopefully, it will be out at the same time. I mean, it's out on PS4, but already. But yeah.
Man.
My PS4 is collecting dust. Anyway, moving on. In other release news, this is something I didn't even know was happening. Apparently, there's an ongoing Kamen Rider Kuga manga, which is cool.
I did know that.
I really like Kamen Rider Kuga. Like, I watched Kuga and I watched Agido all the way through, and Kuga was pretty boss.
It's pretty bomb, yeah.
The first of the Heisei Riders.
I believe so, yes.
Yeah. First of the new batch after they took a break. Was after Black RX. There might have been some OVAs in there, but
Yeah, there was a break in the middle.
Black and Black RX were like the last two big ones before that. Anyway, not to get into Kamen Rider stuff. It's been a while. That's going to be in English, so they're going to release it in English, which is pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
The I suppose in related news, we've talked about it before, but the original Kamen Rider manga it was supposed to be out in September, then December. Now it's going to be out in it's either January or the very end of December. But
I like that there's enough interest over here now that stuff, you know,
yeah,
it's actually profitable to like translate it into English.
Yeah, I'm into it. So yeah, I mean it's Stonebot Studios is doing it. I don't know if it's going to come out in physical release or not. It might just be on the website. But
either way, you get to read it.
It's still cool it's coming out.
It's fine.
Anyway, just an interesting little bit of news.
A tidbit, if you will.
Tidbit. So, and more news about how Japan will wring every last dime out of a property.
Yep.
And, you know, make adaptations of it, merchandise of it, all that good stuff.
Hello Kitty Toaster.
Hello Kitty Toaster. So this isn't as strange, but the Romancing Saga, which was an old, I I think it was originally just a Super Nintendo game, Super Famicom game.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know if there was a version before that. Forgive me if it was on the goddamn ColecoVision or something before him.
I don't think so.
So there was a smartphone game called Reuniverse, and now it's getting a manga series.
Sure.
So, I mean, not only did they dust off an old property that it wasn't never Final Fantasy popular.
No,
and they've done a bunch of re-releases of the stuff on like the Switch and I think it's also on the PS4 like eShop or whatever. Not only did they release a goddamn cell phone game based on the property, now they're also going to do a manga based on it. So Japan will they will squeeze that property all the way until they get every last nickel out of it. So I appreciate that.
Fucking dry.
I appreciate that. So anyway, I'm not sure anybody's really all that interested in reading it. If you are, hey, go check it out. But otherwise, it's just another example I thought I'd bring up of
ruthless capitalism.
Japan's ruthless capitalism versus what the West does now, where like there's certain properties where they still do that with, but it's not the same.
No, not at all.
It's not the same. Like, and it's not as bad. Like the '80s was ruthless for that. Like,
oh yeah,
Batman everything, man. Batman Underoos, Batman freaking toothbrush.
If you didn't have Batman Underoos, you were fucking chump.
Batman wine topper, Batman whatever. Like,
I had Thundercats Underoos.
You were good to hell yeah. Who didn't?
Kids are so fat now. I bet I could fit in Underoos.
Oh my god.
Just saying.
I suppose it's possible. All right, so and more, hey, Japan will, kind of wring every last dime out of property. There's very few properties that they've wrung every last dime out of. Like they have Gundam, and the Gundam Cafe is
far more than the dollars they've taken out of Star Wars.
Yeah,
100%.
That would be an interesting thing to figure out.
I don't feel like they merchandise Star Wars nearly as hard as they could.
I mean, Star Wars made such unholy amounts of money during the original trilogy days in figures, and then during like the prequel days even nowadays
I've never showed you that. Like my mom was digging through old pictures a while back, and there's a hilarious picture of me when I was like 3 with a fucking Return of the Jedi t-shirt on.
Nice.
Like sitting on my dad's lap. Super funny.
Nice.
It was a dope shirt.
Anyway,
I was tiny and I still had it.
Gundam. The Gundam Cafe, so that should tell you all you need to know, right? They're doing recreation meals of various Gundam anime. And the food items were developed under Sunrise's supervision.
That's hilarious.
This is Japan, man. They don't fuck around.
They don't play.
The meal is about $5. Let's see. There's what looks like a random piece of bread with water that Amuro ate in the desert restaurant when he was meeting Rambo Wall.
That's gold.
I don't know how iconic that really
is fucking gold.
But sure.
It's just bread and water.
Setsuna's milk from an episode of Double O.
That's terrible.
I see Double O. I don't remember any of that. Of course, a hamburger meal from when, that one time Bright ate a hamburger on the bridge in Gundam.
Oh, man.
The tiny pizza that Domo Cashew had. Which is pretty cool.
It's like the most random shit.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Catherine's borscht from Gundam Wing. Don't forget that. And then pilot lunches, which come with all sorts of random various bullshit, and they're based on, you see weird like pilot meals and all the different Gundam animes, so that's not really based on a single one. This one's got blue stuff. I don't know what the fuck it is. Probably some type of
Is there one for Ko that's like just carrots?
There should be one that is only carrots. If they were doing it right, there would be one that is only carrots.
Or not carrots, or something to do with carrots. It's a funny joke.
A lot of them just look like very standard meals that just, you'd have. And additional menu items. You got a Slager Law burger. Hell yeah.
Slager's the shit.
Some fries to go with Bright's burger, because, I don't know, you need fries too. Hopefully they found some salt. Don't forget. Find the fucking salt.
The salt episode.
If anybody's seen Original Gundam, and I don't mean the movies, you'll know what I'm talking about. Amuro Ray's vitamin supplement. Don't forget that. An Argama in-ship meal, which, again, looks like a pretty standard meal to me.
How weird could it really be?
Benergy and Minerva's hot dog.
What the fuck?
Don't question it. Earth Federation white curry that has a Gundam head in the middle. Spicy red comet curry.
I do remember them sharing a hot dog or something at some point.
Yes, that happens.
I do remember
but it's
that,
just a hot dog.
I don't know. Talk about people's hot dogs.
Gundam
Just
parfaits
sends my brain into the wrong place.
with various, color schemes. And yes, there is one that will take the head off your ground Gundam.
Thank God.
And then Gundam series hero drink. Some of these are just in a plastic cup. I don't know what the fuck it's supposed to be, but
Is it cool Gundam-y plastic cups?
no. No, not even.
But,
not even.
but I want to collect them all.
Anyway, it just makes me sad that I can't
Seems
go
like
to the
shit you
Gundam
should be able to
Cafe.
get at like McDonald's. Like a cool Gundam plastic cup.
Gundam Cafe, bitch. It's got its own cafes. That's where you get it.
You know what's interesting? That just dawned on me. When was the last time like McDonald's or somebody was like repping a movie?
Oh, I'm sure they do it all the time. I just don't remember. I don't pay attention to that anymore.
I remember the last big thing was like, yeah, we used to see like commercials and shit.
Batman cups. I still have a set of like glass Batman cups.
Whoa, glass ones.
Yeah. It was either McDonald's or Burger King at the time.
That's intense.
Yeah.
I have some plastic ones, but that's about it.
No.
Not Batman.
No.
I have
they're glass ones.
I have like Lord of the Rings ones from when the Lord of the Rings movie came out.
Nice.
I haven't been in a McDonald's in like 10 years, so
Yeah. So don't be pontificating on what movies they are or not repping because you haven't been there. She wouldn't know.
that was just a huge thing back in the day. There was always like collect them all.
Always a
fucking-
tie-in.
Yeah.
Always a time. Anyway, if you want any of this cool shit, unfortunately, you have to get your ass to the Gundam Cafe. Or, I don't know, if you want some of these things, you could just, pour a glass of juice for yourself or make a burger and have pretty
Yeah,
much what
right.
they have.
This is the one, I swear.
But hey, you got to love the branding, right? All right. And then in some of the weirdest Gundam-related news, Seiji Mizushima, who directed Gundam 00, is working on a hula dancing anime. So
I'm intrigued.
if you really like Gundam 00, and 00 was decent, unless he directed the movie, then he can go to hell.
00, the series was fantastic. That weird
Pretty
fucking
good.
movie was not that great.
The movie was terrible. Fucking metal flower bullshit. Yeah, so he's doing a hula dancing anime. I don't know. It's just hula dance.
Sure.
Just for you.
Get right on it.
Yeah. Check that out. If I don't,
Who's this supposed to be for?
I don't know, man.
Children?
It's Japan, man. It's for everybody. Don't question it.
Chicks?
Don't question it.
Is it filled with fan service?
I have no clue, man. It ain't out yet.
Is it for thirsty dudes?
It ain't out.
Got the thirst.
It
for
doesn't
dancers.
look like it's for thirsty dudes, unless
That's too bad.
well, it might be for thirsty, minor attracted persons, but
Oh, it's kids. Never
it
mind.
ain't. Well,
I'm not looking at the pictures. So.
it's not looking very cheesecakey. Let's put it that way.
Fair enough. 4 kids.
All right, so moving on, and more typical Gundam news, anime news. All anime news is Gundam news.
Should be, but
Yeah, so Japan in their completely pants on head retarded work ethic. Yeah, so Megumi Ogata has she's taken a hiatus due to overwork, a 2 to 3 day hiatus. Like, we call it like the weekend around here.
yeah, right.
I mean, I'm not saying you gotta be lazy, but Jesus Christ.
I need 3 days off. I'm going to die.
Right? Like, okay. I mean, I guess. I mean, she's crushing it with the voice acting, I guess. I mean, her debut was as Kurama in Yu Yu Hakusho.
Huh.
That's kind of cool.
That is kind of cool.
Sailor Uranus in Sailor Moon. Shinji in Evangelion.
Mm.
That's pretty good. Gonna be the main character in the Jujutsu Kaisen Zero movie, which is a prequel. Anyway, I just thought it was. I mentioned this not because I'm a huge Megumi Ogata fan, just because it's just funny. Like, I gotta take 2 to 3 days off. Like,
Or I'll die.
how about you do that like once a week? Once a week, you could take 2 days off. It's
It's
fine.
funny the difference between like there, here, and like Scandinavia,
Yep.
where they're like, "Oh, I gotta work 2 days a week." Like, fuck you.
I work more than 2 days a year.
My cousin's fucking brother's wife's aunt had a baby. We all get 6 weeks off.
I would not say I would complain. Ah, jeez. Anyway, we got one more piece of news, and in the in quite possibly the worst Get Out the Vote mascot I've seen this side of P Diddy in South Park. Yeah, Honduras has Light Yagami from Death Note telling you to get out and vote. I don't know if the implication is he will like write you in the Death Note, or if he's supposed to be a good guy.
It's so sinister.
Like, did they not understand that he's not really the good guy? I don't know, man. Honduras is a crazy place.
Honduras never change.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it really matters who you vote for in Honduras, because I think it matters far more who counts the votes in Honduras.
Yeah.
As old man Stalin once said. But yeah, Light Yagami.
Just saying.
Get out and vote. Like,
just putting it out there.
Oh, okay, I guess that's what you're gonna do.
I like it.
It's pretty funny. I gotta say, it's pretty. Sorry if you're from Honduras out there and this is a problem, but it's pretty damn funny to me.
I'm sure our problems are funny to the rest of the world.
I mean, are they implying like if you vote, you can Death Note the politicians you don't like? I think they get you arrested. Like, I'm not so sure about that. Like, I don't know.
Fair enough.
It says the power. The message is the power is in your hands. So to me, that is implying like,
yeah,
there's something there. I don't know. I'm just saying there's.
I don't want to read too much into it, but
that's pretty spicy. That's much spicier than the Attack on Titan memes from the past couple weeks. That's for damn sure. And a little danker, to tell you the truth.
It's true.
Anyway,
we've been outdanked.
That is the news for today.
Dun, dun, dun.
And now we'll discuss. Let's discuss Hellbound. Let's do Hellbound first.
Yeah, man.
So the latest Korean drama. I'll quote unquote craze. It was pretty high up in Netflix's like popular stuff.
Yeah, since Netflix is basically bankrupting themselves with like
shitty Cowboy Bebop remakes,
man, other shitty
Masters of the Universe.
Yeah, they're not having a good run. So they're trying to like stave off bankruptcy by like paying $3 for a bunch of Korean shows, and they got lucky one time.
This one they apparently co-produced. I didn't read too deep into it, but apparently this one they had more direct involvement in, not necessarily in like the story or anything, but they at least like, you know, bankrolled it from the start. It wasn't just, hey, this show already exists, I just took it.
I see.
I mean, I could be wrong, but that is what I read.
Interesting.
That was a little interesting.
So at any rate, Squid Game, it was not.
No, Squid Game is excellent.
I don't know, it was weird. Interesting, but weird.
Yeah, so let me overview it a little bit. So it's only 6 episodes. They're about an hour apiece.
Between 40 minutes and an hour. So
yeah,
there's a couple short ones.
I think that there's one short one that's like 40 minutes, and there's one long one that's a little over an hour, the last one. And then all the other ones are about 50 minutes. So it's, you know, it's about 6 hours to watch the whole thing, maybe 5.5. Slightly longer than Zack Snyder's Justice League.
I see.
So it's got an interesting premise, and the structure's a little weird. We'll get into that. So it starts off with like a guy in a cafe getting chased by like these giant smoke clay faces. They look like clay faces from Batman the Animated Series.
Yeah, they're giant smoke apes.
Giant smoke apes.
Smoke Yetis, whatever.
Smoke Yeti. Yeah, I like Smoke Yeti. They come out of like the nothing. They come out of the walls or out of the, you know, a rift in space, whatever. And they just like start beating the shit out of the guy, chasing him, and then like, and everybody can see him. It's not like a, you know, like that horror movie trope where somebody's like running from the smoky monster and no one can see it, and it's all terrifying, and the guy doesn't.
No, it's like broad daylight. Everybody can see it.
Everybody sees it. They're knocking cars out of the way for no reason. They're apparently invincible. And when they finally catch the guy, they beat the crap out of him, and then they like put their hands on him, and light comes out, and then he's just like a smoldering torso.
Yeah, they, I don't know, suck out your soul or something.
Yeah, allegedly you get sent to hell. So basically, this has been happening for a while now, but no one really caught it on video. This was like the first real incident this happens in Korea. The first incident that anybody like, you know, a mass incident where everybody saw it. Apparently there's been rumors of it happening for years, but this is the first one they really caught on video, right? And there's a religion that's formed up around it. So this guy, he's basically a cult leader, right? And he's formed up this religion around the monsters that come and send you to hell. right?
Allegedly,
right? Like no one knows what they're actually doing. And you know, he's obviously getting more followers as this stuff becomes more and more known. And you know, they find out. So what happens is, so there's a detective early on because they're gonna investigate the murder, because even though it's weird supernatural bullshit, they got it. Well, it's a murder.
The
right?
guy
Like,
still got killed. Yeah.
Yeah, they're gonna investigate it, and they go investigate the cult leader. Like, hey, is this guy involved? Is he doing it? What's going on? And then there's also this undercurrent with the arrows. I think they were called. It was something arrows, but they're like younger kids. I mean, like teenagers for the most part. Not all of them, but they're mostly teenagers.
They're goddamn punk kids.
They're punk kids. They're like the Antifa of
yeah, they really
Korea,
are.
right? Like
they have baseball bats.
They got baseball bats. They
wear
run
masks.
around. They beat people up, like whatever, right? And they beat people up that they think should be going to hell. And they got this weird guy who does like a podcast thing, like on Twitch or it's on fake TikTok, but same idea. Like, and he's got like a weird headdress and this blacklight makeup on, and he's just screaming about people that need to be punished or that were punished or whatever.
Yeah, well, basically the whole thing with the religion is they surmise that because these people had to have done something wrong,
people were sinful
to deserve to go to hell. And I mean, you'll figure.
And it's a religion without the concept of original sin. That actually becomes important later.
Yeah.
There's no concept that like at birth you're a sinner unless you are saved. No. It's like you have to do something. So these people must have all sinned gravely.
Yeah. So then like not everybody has. So like they get to a point where they're like making shit up basically.
There's some good foreshadowing of that early on where some people, it's like, that doesn't seem like the kind of thing you'd get beaten up by like murder apes.
Yeah,
and sent to hell for.
there's like one chick that has like 2 kids and they're from 2 different fathers. So they try to like, you know,
and it was adultery both times from the fathers. But like, there's no real implication.
They never proved that though.
Well, but there's no implication.
That was the speculation on
there's
that
no
guy's
implication
part.
that she knew or did anything.
Yeah. That was
like, it was adultery, but
the onus was on the dude.
Yeah, there was. And she's a good mother, and she's taking care of the kids.
Yeah, she's working like 1 million hours a week, taking care of the kids.
There might be there's a small implication there might be some child abuse, maybe, but it's not. I'm not excusing child abuse, but it's the kid has like a bruise at one point, like one bruise in one place. He's not getting beaten up. He didn't fall down the stairs.
If you've ever been a kid, you know how
he could have just got bruised. Like that's, you know, who knows what it is. They don't really resolve that.
I was covered in bruises my entire time.
They didn't really resolve that, right? Like they just let the implication out there. But so what happens with this stuff is a face comes out of nowhere, right? And it tells you like, you're bound for hell in 3 days, 4 days.
It basically tells you when you're going to get
20 years, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So she finds out she's going to be sent to hell in 3 days, and she records it. And then she goes to the church leader, the cult leader, and, well, he goes to her because she posts it up and it goes viral. And then he comes to her and says, look, we'll pay you. It's some ridiculous amount of won, but
it's like $3 million or something.
It's like $3 million. Korean money is hard to deal with because it's worth like nothing. But it's like worse than yen with the thousands and hundreds and whatever. So
yen used to be like
it was
like
100.
$500
It was about 100
or 100 to 1 or whatever. It was pretty
won
easy.
Seems to be about 1,000.
It was easy brain math.
Anyway, they're going to pay her like $3 million to, because there's a lot of rich people in this cult, right? They're going to pay her $3 million to film it, right?
He wants proof so he can like, you know.
Real proof. Because the other one, they have the guy running around, but they want to see it. Like, you know, they want both pieces of it, like the proclamation and then the actual execution of the sending you to hell. So they set it up in her apartment. They tear down a wall. Weird people in masks come and show up to watch it. And then the guys show up and they do it.
Korea has a thing about rich people in masks watching fucked up shit.
And the smoke guys show up and do it. So I don't want to spoil the whole thing, so I won't get into it too much. That's like the first half of the show, and it ends with kind of a twist about the cult leader because he tells you, like, you know, why he is, where he saw it, how he came to learn about all this stuff, and you know, everything's not as it seems, right? Like, you get the first implication in that 3rd episode, I think, that like, oh, this is not even remotely kosher. Like, there's something really wrong here. Then it time skips on you,
Yeah.
Oh, there's also a lawyer in the first half. She's an important character in the second half. Because the first half is it revolves around the cop, the cult leader, the cop who's investigating it, the cult leader, the cop's daughter who's with the cult leader. And there's a tragic story with the cop, and I won't get into that, but there's a tragic story with the cop and his wife and all this stuff. That is important, but it doesn't matter for this discussion. And then the second half, you got a lawyer who was there in the first half, who was the lawyer for the woman. For the woman who was going to get...
Because the woman
filmed.
went to a lawyer because she wanted to make sure like, if she died, she wanted to make sure her kids got the money.
She wanted to make sure that,
they're all
exactly.
set up
And she wanted to make sure her kids could get out.
Of the country.
She was worried about the arrows and the fanatics coming after her kids because, like, she's sinful, so the kids are...
Yeah, that's, like, a big part of it, too. Like,
people are going after the kids, yeah.
Well, like, the people... It's assumed that the people who got, fucked up by these... What are we calling them?
Smoke
Yetis?
Smoke Yetis, yeah.
By these smoke Yetis are sinful. So, So there's a stigma to the families of the people that like,
and they don't really know what she did, so they really want the kids to tell her like, what did she do? What did she do? Why is she so evil?
Yeah, so they're like chasing down the kids.
I think they suspect that she was beating the kids too, so that's why they think that that's the thing. Because just the adultery doesn't seem like enough to warrant getting beaten the crap out of by a bunch of freaking smoke yetis and then sent to hell,
like torched.
Anyway, then time skips, and the second half of the show is more about the lawyer chick and a reporter, or no, he's a producer. He's a producer for a news agency. Yeah, and his wife, and like they have a kid, and then the kid is like, he's a baby, days old, and he gets sentenced to go to hell. So that becomes the whole MacGuffin in the second part. That this religion has gotten so huge now, because later on it's gotten so huge after they had all the video evidence.
It's like half the world basically.
Yeah, everybody's religion,
huge.
and it's very authoritarian. The lawyer and her group of people want to prove that it's BS, that it's not. This is not God. This is something else. So they're basically like, well, if a baby is being sentenced to hell and there's no original sin, like, that doesn't make any goddamn sense. How the hell did this baby, who's literally only been in the hospital, ever sinned? Like, that's bullshit.
It was like
religion's crap.
It was only like 2 days old or something.
Yeah, like your religion is crap.
And it was like a preemie, so it'd been like in the hospital extra
the whole time. It hadn't even left the hospital yet, and it got sentenced.
Yeah, it was like barely alive
to burn in hell. So it goes through that, and then you get to the end, and there's a bit of a twist at the end, and then at the very end there's a stinger that's an even bigger twist for maybe another season of
twists and twists and twists.
So anyway, what are your thoughts on this?
I have a lot of thoughts on this. It feels like to me it felt like the author. I never read the book. I don't know if the book is exactly the same.
I think it's webcomics.
Could be, whatever. But it seemed like they were just writing it to get a point across and not writing it to be like well written. Because there's like a lot of setups with no payoff. There's a lot of just like weird shit that never you get almost nothing explained. Like the end is like interesting. Like I wasn't mad,
but it doesn't explain anything.
But it was amazingly unsatisfying because they like literally tell you fucking nothing about any of this crazy shit. You still don't know how it works. You get a vague idea of like how to kind of stop it, but not really.
And it's too central to the plot to not be resolved. Like, you can use supernatural elements, right, in a story, but if they're not the point of the story, you never have to explain them. Like, I don't need to know where the fuck the Predator comes from or exactly why the Predator comes to Earth and kills people, right? They've done that in later movies. They didn't have to. I don't care.
Yeah, it's kind of pointless.
Doesn't matter. It wasn't important for the story. It's important to the story what the hell's going on here.
Yeah, it's really
they don't resolve it enough.
And like they just after the first half
dropping the cop out was
the cop and his daughter, it's like that was kind of a big deal. You're just gonna like
it was a mistake to not have them show up again at all.
Yeah, it's weird.
Now maybe it's forgiven if they do another season and it continues on and then it has them again.
I guess, but there was like so much unfinished business.
Because it's only 6 episodes. Like, fine. If it was 10 episodes and the next 4 episodes are about the cop and the daughter, it's like, okay, I can understand that, but it was a mistake in a 6-episode series to have it like be that jarring. Yeah, go to completely different characters.
I just want to know where smoke yetis come from, And they definitely like come through like a rip.
Oh yeah, no.
It's like they just come up
supernatural.
out of the ground, old school style.
Sometimes they do.
They come up through like it looks like a rip into another dimension.
Sometimes they come up out of the ground. Sometimes they come out of a wall. Sometimes they come out of a rip from another dimension.
They always run back into it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Whenever they leave, they just run.
Sometimes they run right into a wall, and sometimes they run into a rip. Like
it's weird.
It's kind of cool because it's not 100% consistent. Like it is interesting.
Yeah, no. There's definitely a ton of like. That's why it was kind of unsatisfying because there's a ton of elements they could have expanded on that I want more of. The other beef I have is this is probably because I'm American and I don't understand Korea 100%, but there was like the idea that like this weird. First of all, there was like no internet autists like trying to figure out what these things are. It was just immediately.
It was not a plot element for sure.
It was immediately accepted that like God, like
this is God.
This is God, and people are going to hell. Like,
which
no one would ever fucking believe that.
No, see, I'm not going to be with you on that because there would be a ton of people that would. But it would be half the world.
Maybe 50%.
It wouldn't even be. It was 50%, right? Like, it wouldn't be half the world, right? And even if there is a strong cult that is that way, and even if it becomes the dominant thing, where are all the autists, like you said, that would be trying to figure out what's really going on?
Yeah, like watching video, that wasn't any kind of plot element. Like
this isn't the Middle Ages anymore. Most of the world is default atheist at the moment. So
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And I'm not saying they should be, but they are. So they're not going to immediately flop back into religion that
just
easily.
Instantaneously.
Maybe they would because they do now, but for other things that have nothing to do with smoke monsters that actually do come out and murder your ass.
That's because they pretend it's not a religion. Regardless of any of that, it was like very like jarring. It's like no, immediately, and 90% of these problems could have been solved with a gun, which is my other weird.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, I can fix that problem. Pew pew pew.
Well, except the smoke monsters, you're not solving that problem.
They didn't try any big guns, man. Well, that guy shot it with a revolver, and
it did absolutely nothing.
No grenades, no milk, no cookies, no nothing.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, you and I both had the discussion.
I know that there wasn't that style of show, but like they tried nothing.
No, but at the time, you and I both had a discussion. This is happening all over the world. Like some asshole who's in like the U.S. or Russia or China or something, a military guy is going to get the proclamation, and it's going to be like, okay, well, here's your nuke. And, when they come get you, like, why don't you take care of them for us? Like,
yeah, like, I want to see more of that stuff, kind of.
Let's figure out what the hell's going on.
I'm just saying they could have done a lot more with this series. It was just like everybody immediately folded. There was no pushback at all.
The supernatural MacGuffin that they have is a good idea, but they got, like, it's not thought out well enough. It just isn't. Like, it shouldn't have been as worldwide. If they would have confined it to Korea, I think it would have made more sense.
Yeah, like, I don't know, it was just weird.
If it was a more localized phenomenon, it would have made more sense. I don't know.
It just, they left it where there was too much space in the rest of the world for other people to be doing things and figuring things out. You know what I mean? And
except they aren't, apparently. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, and the religion was, like, super centralized in South Korea. It's like, don't you think? Like, other people have to be doing things elsewhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I get it because the U.S. does that all the time. But
yeah,
like,
but that's why I felt like it was kind of just written to get a point across instead of like being very consistent.
It's not poorly written, but I do.
No, not at all. And it's
but
like,
I don't disagree. Like, it sacrifices characters and plot for a message.
And it's fucking such a black pill. Like, if you're feeling suicidal or even just kind of having a bad day, like, do not watch this like all in a row.
Yeah, it definitely does not renew your faith in humanity.
Like, I was not in the best mood
it.
when we watched it, and I was just like, I wanted to just like heave myself out the window when we're done.
Yeah,
because the end is not uplifting enough to like just kind of shake off all that. Like,
no, it actually has more disturbing implications than anything else.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, not the funnest watch ever.
No, and it's just. Yeah. There's a good message in there. It is smart in the way it deals with how humans deal with things. Like, the guy, whoever wrote it, or the writers, multiple writers, whatever, understands people, and that's something that
definitely.
So much Western entertainment has lost. Like, this doesn't comport with the way people don't be reacting that way. What are you, Tamino?
Yeah, right. Normal people do not.
And even Tamino doesn't fuck it up that bad. they just really like this guy understood that, but like, or woman or group of writers or whatever understood
Whoever
that.
wrote it.
But it's a problem because you don't have a through line of really consistent characters. You know, I don't know.
Changing the characters up in the middle really kind of killed
Yeah,
it for me.
It hurt.
There's too many plot holes.
But anyway,
it was only 6 episodes.
Yeah,
Like, it wasn't terrible, but I'm just warning you, man. It's a slog.
It's one of those shows when you start it, like if you're into the first episode, it's going to drag you through all of it because you're going to be like, ooh, this is just intriguing enough.
You kind of can't not watch it. It like sucks you in. But
the warning is the payoff to me is not worth it. Do not let yourself get sucked in by it.
It's not worth it because it's almost non-existent.
I don't think the payoff is worth it. But if you really are into it, you know the worst you're gonna kill is a long afternoon, right? Like it's 5.5 hours.
Yeah, we killed it like a.
I mean that's not nothing, but you know you can watch that in an evening if you were really committed. So check it out, or don't. But yeah, that's our thoughts on Hellbound. Squid Games is not. If you haven't seen Squid Games, just watch Squid Games first and then get to this.
Right. Anyway, on to Batman.
So
one of the best runs of Batman ever, probably.
Yeah, I like these runs of Batman from the mid 90s. You know, so we're talking about The Long Halloween, which is a direct follow-up to Batman Year One. So Frank Miller did Batman Year One, which is what it sounds like. It's like basically going back in time and doing like the first year of Batman, but you know, reimagined at the time for the 80s. So he's learning stuff. He's not as established. He's not the super detective.
He gets his ass kicked a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
He screws things up all the time.
And there's not super villains everywhere, so he's adapting to that. So The Long Halloween it's not year 2 because there is a year 2 and a year, whatever. But it takes place around that time, right? Like
it's inside
right
the first 5 years of Batman.
Exactly. But it's not Frank Miller this time. It's Jeff Loeb.
Yep.
Who did the writing. And Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale, who did the artwork.
Classic combo.
And the art is the art's gorgeous. The animated one is good. I like the art, but the style in the comic is way better.
It's so classic.
Way better. Like
you can't replicate that.
The animated one is a little more generic. It's not like quite like that kiddie. And don't get me wrong, I love the JLU show, but it's not like the Batman animated series Justice League where like it's very simple. It's not quite that simple, but it is more simplified compared to the comic.
Yeah, definitely.
The comic
it's like JLU stuff super clean.
Yeah, this is clean. This is like all their other animated stuff. It's in that same line. If you've watched any of their other more recent animated stuff, it looks like that. It just does. So it is a little normalized, which is a little unfortunate. Anyway, so let's talk about the story in general, right? Because the story is the same but not between the two. So the basic plot is it's early on Batman's career, and you know part of it is he's coming to grips with all the supervillainy, right? Like you know Gotham itself is transitioning from mobs running everything to supervillains running everything.
It's crazy,
right? Where even those supervillains have their own. It's basically the mob but worse. You know, the Joker's got a gang, and the you know, in year 1 you had the Roman, and in this you have the Roman, right, who's a mobster, and then later you might have, you know, Black Mask, who's also a mobster, but is also a supervillain. So
this starts out the through line of that's in like it comes up in a ton of Batman comics of, you know, did Batman create supervillains, or were they there, you know, already?
Yeah, because
like
none
of them
anyway.
show up until Batman is around.
Yeah, who created who, or did the same circumstances create both? Which is kind of what I believe, right? Like the same circumstances created both. Like Batman didn't create the supervillains, but it's like an arms race, right? There's escalation.
Yeah. Like once you have a Batman, like you need better criminals, you know, basically.
Yeah, or is it vice versa? Like, you know what I mean? It's that's always that interesting thing they do with Batman. They've kind of beat it to death now, but this is where it started. Well, I don't know. I think it started even before this, but this is one of the first ones that really fleshed it out. So let's talk about the animated one. So the animated one is good. Voice acting's great. It's not the traditional, like quote unquote traditional Batman team. They've kind of moved on from the you know, Kevin Conroy, Mark Hamill days, which is fine. Like they are excellent. You know, no one can say anything bad about that voice work. But you know, they found replacements, and you got your boy Dean Winchester. I mean,
right. Nice to see him pop.
Jensen Ackles as Batman. He does a good Batman. I got to say, I'm impressed. He was Red Hood in the Red Hood. And he was good at that, but I'm not mad that he's Batman.
Yeah, I did like him as Batman.
He does a good job. But yeah, the animated one is interesting. So we watched the animated one first, and I'd read Long Halloween before, but many years ago, and I reread it afterwards, which maybe my opinion would be a little different. I like both, right? And I like the animated one, even though the animated one deviates a lot, and it does some things that feel a little modern day, if you will.
Yeah.
Like enhancing the role of Catwoman feels a little modern day.
In the comic, Catwoman is only there to be a pain in the ass, and very rarely
shows up. And in the animated one, she's always there, like saving Batman from everything.
She's always there saving Batman from everything, and she knows who Batman is.
Yeah, she already knows who Batman is.
And they're like dating in real life and blah, 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 blah. And it's just like way too much Catwoman.
Yeah, in the book, like Selena Kyle and Bruce Wayne are making some time. Kind of. Like
but
not
Batman,
super close.
But Batman and Catwoman do not know
they do not who each other they
are.
do not know that each other are Bruce Wayne and Selena Kyle. So there's a more interesting dynamic there. And don't get me wrong, Catwoman still saves his ass in the comic a couple times too, but it's not as blatant. It's not
because
pervasive.
she wants to save Batman. She's just there because she wants to fuck over the Roman, and she has, various ulterior motives.
Yeah, she's trying to figure. Well, so they don't say it in this one. They say it in the animated one. They don't say it here. She's trying to figure out if the Roman is her father or not. She thinks the Roman is her father.
Which is why she's always, because Batman asks her all the time,
and that's
why the fuck are you always here when I'm here?
And that's apparently one of the follow-ups to this. So, it's not like it's a big retcon thing that they changed and they pulled it into the animated one. It makes sense, to explain it there, since, that I suppose they could do Dark Victory and Haunted Night, but
well, I mean, it was 2 movies, so I mean, it's like 3 to 4 hours of shit. So they probably just took the stuff they wanted.
3. They're around an hour and a half a pop.
So they probably just took the stuff they wanted from the later comics and just dragged it in.
So anyway, the basic plot is someone is killing people on holidays, right? And it
starts out on Halloween. That's the first one,
and it's mobsters. For the most part, that are getting killed. Right?
It's all people in Roman's crew.
It's all bad people, right?
Basically.
It starts off, it's people in Roman's crew, and like one of the first guys who gets killed was going to testify, so that's interesting. So there's two. It's the Roman, and then what's the other guy's name? Yeah, the Morelli.
I think it's Morelli.
Yeah, there's 2 mob crews, right? And there's a feud going on there, and it's more.
No, I think it's Maroni.
Maroni. It is Maroni, and it's more acrimonious in the animated one. It's more heated in the comic. It's a little more like Maroni kind of works closer with the Roman.
Yeah,
and they're not mobsters butting heads as bad, but there's definitely some bad blood there. Anyway, there's a early on it's all like the Romans guys getting killed, but then later it's not. So it gets confusing. Like, so they do between the animated one and the comic book, they do different holidays, they do different kills, they move some stuff around. The killer is not the same.
No.
So there's going to be spoilers in this, so just to be aware. The killer in the comic is complicated, and you're not even sure exactly who killed who in it, because there's like 3 different killers.
Yeah, there's basically 3 different people that were all kind of doing the same thing, using the other one.
But it's hard to figure out. Yeah, who's doing what at what time, and who
you don't know
who
the first one is. You don't know who the copycats were.
You're not necessarily sure.
You just know it's 3 different people that have like
at least killed
crimes.
one person.
Yeah, exactly.
As part of it, and then in the animated one, it's all one person.
Yeah, they tie it up kind of neatly.
They tie it up more neatly in a bow. Part of the other subplot of this, and it's in both of them, is the making of Two-Face, right? It's the origin story for Two-Face. So it's the Harvey Dent's descent into madness, and then him getting acid thrown in his face and turning into Two-Face.
Yep.
And how he's not completely gone. Like, even it's kind of interesting at the end in both of them where he's still Harvey Dent in a way. Like, he's not completely
But
evil.
Harvey Dent was kind of an asshole to begin with.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting because he like changes, but he was already kind of on the precipice.
And he was
anyway.
a little crazy. And there's, in the comic, there's a reference to his father being put to an insane asylum. In the movie, they go a little overboard with like the stuff he gets into. Like he's doing stuff that, like crazy stuff where he's like wandering around in a bathrobe.
Oh yeah,
after he breaks out of the hospital.
Yeah, he like leaves the hospital. He's like wandering around the streets and shit.
I'm gonna go like kill the Roman. It's just
they flush a lot of that stuff out, like almost too much.
So you also get like you get an awesome rogues gallery. You get a little taste of most of Batman's
everybody
villains.
shows up. Scarecrow, fucking the Mad Hatter.
Scarecrow, the Mad Hatter. In the comic, the Riddler.
In the comic, the
does
Riddler
not show up.
The Riddler just
He doesn't do much in the comic.
He doesn't do much in the comic, but it's very important.
It's very
because
important.
he doesn't actually get killed.
But the Riddler, not in the animated one. Catwoman, like we said, Solomon Grundy, the Joker,
obviously the Joker,
of course, the Joker, Poison Ivy, which is a little bit surprising. Who am I missing? We said Mad Hatter. Oh, Calendar Man.
Yes.
How could I forget Calendar Man? And Two-Face, obviously. So Calendar Man is interesting because they do a little like Silence of the Lambs thing where they're like going to him in Arkham. And like
Batman pops up to ask him about.
He's one of the red herrings, so he's one of the. It's almost like, well, he could have escaped and like falsified the records. Like obviously he's probably doing it because he's Calendar Man, right? That's what he does.
Committing crimes on holidays is like his thing.
But he doesn't. He never gets to break out either, which is hilarious. And it happens differently in both, but it's funny in both of them. I kind of like it better in the comic where it's just a flip of the coin that screws him.
Yeah, right.
So let's see. So you have the Calendar Man bit, which is very cool. You get Harvey Dent's Descent into Madness. You got,
the Poison Ivy bit is identical.
Yeah, you got Batman coming to terms with, supervillainy and how to deal with it and how much of a pain in the ass it is. Gordon's still trying to figure this whole thing out, but he's not a huge piece of it. He's kind of just there.
He's just there to be like the straight man. The uncorruptible cop.
Alfred is awesome in both of them.
Yeah.
He's a great character.
Alfred is always based.
There's an interesting subplot with like Bruce Wayne's father and the Roman's father and how that all worked and how that all came about.
Oh yeah, that's actually interesting.
That's an interesting subplot. It's important, but we're not really talking about it much here because it's not pivotal. So yeah, do you have any other thoughts on the animation versus the comic? I mean, my recommendation is check them both out. I think they're both good. Like, the animation's on HBO Max and the comic is available a lot of places. Like they're both excellent.
DC animation always does a good job. Like I have not seen one that I disliked. This one they could have jammed probably in a 2-hour movie without flushing out extra shit.
Yeah, I think they added some extras unnecessary, and a lot of the extra Catwoman was like, I don't really need this.
I don't like.
There's a little extra Poison Ivy that was unnecessary too.
Yeah. I'm not a big fan of just like in a relationship Catwoman. I like crazy pain in the. She's more of a femme fatale.
She should be more Fujiko.
Is what we go on about it all the time.
Yeah, but
because it's one of those like things that's like basically being erased. But I like her more when she's a crazy pain in the ass. It works better.
Yeah, I mean,
when she's just there, like always saving Batman because she loves him so much.
The animated one is a little more generic. It's good. It's decently well written. It's simpler. It's easier to follow, and it's got a more satisfying conclusion. But I like the ending of the comic better because it's a little more ambiguous.
Yeah,
and when you kind of piece it together, you can come to your own conclusion, which I think is equally as satisfying once you come to it. But
they did a good job of leaving you all the little pieces you need.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Whereas the animated one just kind of like pushes you along. You know what I mean. Both good in their own right, though.
Both good.
Both
I'd say check out the animated one first. I mean, especially if you have HBO Max already or you have the high seas and you can get a hold of it and watch it. I mean, it's cool. You'll probably enjoy it. It's good. And then, if you like it, check out the comic. It's different enough that it's worth the read. And the artwork is awesome. The color, it's awesome.
It's one of the classic Batman runs.
It's a classic Batman story.
It's like this. For me, it's like this and Hush, probably.
13 issues. I mean, like you said, it takes you an hour or two to read it. It's not super long.
Yeah, I think I blasted through in like 2 hours probably.
And it's good stuff. So, yeah, that's the Long Halloween from back when comics were still good. and apparently DC Animated can at least still do a good job.
I don't know how they still are good. It blows my mind. They're like in this weird untouched bubble.
Yeah, even with a little touch of it, like, but they still have competent enough writers that they can change as much. No, I didn't. But they could change as much stuff as they did, and it was still good.
Yeah,
I think they were more trying to tie it into some of the other Batman stuff they've done recently.
yes,
because they changed the whole thing where like
their whole universe is kind of different.
Yeah, it's like.
So they had to kind of work that stuff.
It's almost like they're working like a metaverse there, where like rather than having each thing really be its standalone thing, they're trying to kind of jam them all into the same universe. Where DC Comics has always been better at those kind of one shots, personally,
definitely,
or those limited series. And there's no need to put them together. This is what I think DC, the movie studio, Warner Brothers, DC should be doing.
What's like the only two good things?
Ignore continuity.
They did that Joker movie,
and
Shazam. Are probably like the only two things I thought were decent.
I like Suicide Squad, the new one.
Oh, the new one, yeah. It was good, but it was like generic good.
Yeah. It was another James Gunn movie.
Yeah, it wasn't phenomenal, but
it's probably the worst James Gunn movie I've seen. But that doesn't mean it's bad. It's still good.
Yeah.
But both Guardians.
But
are
anyway,
better.
both like loosely, either not related to anything at all, or like very loosely related to the rest of the universe. You know what I mean?
Slither was better too. I'm gonna say it.
Oh, Slither was awesome. That was like the first movie his
packs a box lunch.
Right.
Anyway, that's our thoughts on the Long Halloween.
That's a double recommend.
Yeah, check them out. Check them both out. You'll enjoy. And now, for something else you're going to enjoy, we're going to talk about the toxic masculinity. No. The amazing masculinity.
The divine masculinity of Captain Harlock.
Captain Harlock. My Youth in Arcadia. Arcadia of my youth. Leiji Matsumoto. Harlock's a weird thing where, there's a lot of different continuities again, where, the TV series is not really in the same continuity as the movie.
It's kind of Pat Labor style where they have like separate continuities.
Yeah, and it's not the same continuity as that newer movie. If you've seen the newer one that was on Netflix, I don't know if it was a Netflix production.
That was a CG one.
That was a CG one.
Not a fan.
The style was all right. It just the story just didn't work for me. It was
so
Harlock.
not Harlock.
Yeah, I was not a fan, and it was kind of a shame because the style was there. I thought, but.
Yeah, it was cool, but no.
This is classic. So this is late 70s, early 80s. I think it might be 82.
Yeah, it's like 81 or 82.
Where, and it's pretty clean. Right now it's available on, we watched it on Crunchy. I think it's actually available on a bunch of different platforms.
Yeah.
You can certainly find it out there. So this goes back and starts from the beginning. So this is, you don't need to have seen any other Harlock to watch this,
Nope,
right?
it's origin story, basically.
This is origin story, right? So it starts off with, Harlock on the Death Shadow, which is an awesome name for a ship.
Hell yeah.
It's clear that it's the future. You're in space, and it's like he's got one of the last ships of humanity. He's coming back from a battle. They've been defeated, and Earth's been occupied, and the human race has been subjugated by the Illudum or whatever the hell they are. Yeah. They look human, but they're green. It's the 70s style.
And they have like mad eyebrows.
They have beards that connect to their eyebrows.
Right.
Anyway, he's coming back with this refugee ship, and he lands it, and then, the Illudum, they try to, they give him some shit for that, but like it's kind of interesting because they're not super evil. Like they
want to basically just subjugate humans who use them because like they're trying to offer
fight their wars.
Basically, they're they're trying to give Harlock a job, and he's just like, "Fuck y'all."
Well, yeah, because they want to rule the galaxy.
But so every like planet they dominate, they need to subjugate.
They don't shoot him on sight. It's a little more insidious than that.
It's very Roman Empire of them.
Like they know it is very Roman Empire. It's a very mature anime in a way because everybody acts like a freaking adult.
It's got adult themes,
right? Like there's a lot of concern that we can't just kill Harlock because he's a hero to the humans, and we don't want unrest on the planet because that's a pain in the ass. So
there's a lot of politics.
We'll just let him go, and who cares? Because what's he gonna do, right? Because the planet, there's not a ton of humans left there, and they're starving, and it's just who cares, right? Anyway, he hooks up with Tochiro, who's another ex military officer, who's more of a an egghead than a fighter, but he's a good fighter too.
Yeah, he's like mechanic, all around hacker man.
Yeah, and then there's this whole through theme where they share some common history, way back in like World War I, World War II days, where Harlock's got ancestors back there, and there's this theme where like they're trying to take their planes places you shouldn't be allowed to take your planes, right? Like so, there's a biplane. He's trying to go over the.
Yeah, like Harlock's great, whatever.
Yeah, great.
Tries to fly over this mountain and he can't make it, and he writes this whole book about it.
And the mountain's laughing at him. He writes this book about it.
And
then,
Harlock has the book.
And like that guy's kid is in World War II, and then he ends up in a 10 minutes of fuel left. He's got to fly over something. And then there's a point in this where Harlock has to do it too in his ship. So there's a whole theme there of like, screw you. I don't know, nature, like
fate.
I'll do what I want. And Harlock's the only one who was able to overcome it, but at great sacrifice. So anyway, him and Totoro hook up, and then, they're just kind of there, and then Emeraldus just crash lands on the planet with a ridiculous blimp plane with a galleon, or blimp ship with a galleon hanging out the bottom. Designs are crazy, love it.
So classic.
And they end up working with her, and then with Zol, who's one of the guys working for the Eludum, but he's like
he's from another planet.
He's from a different planet
that they subjugated.
Conquered, so he's not really into it.
Yeah.
So they end up all hooking up to be like, screw them. We're gonna do something about this, and mainly it's because they capture Harlock's girlfriend, wife, whatever, Maya.
Dude's coming back for
Yeah, and they're like, okay, we gotta. He's gonna go help the I can't remember their names, but the Zol's people. Like he's gonna go there and help them, and then Zol will keep a watch on the planet and help make sure.
What's the name of that?
Krakatoa. I don't know.
Caracas or
whatever it is. Doesn't matter. And Zol's gonna help out his Maya, his girlfriend. So he's gonna stay on Earth and do what work he can on Earth, because there's still like resistance groups on Earth that keep attacking. So yeah, I'm not.
That planet this Zol's from, like, they're gonna go basically wipe it out because they have.
They
Earth
want
now.
Harlock to go wipe it out. Harlock's gonna go and like try to save it. Anyway, Totoro has made a ship on his own.
He's been hiding
deep beneath the planet. I'm assuming he took a ship that was probably already there, built for the Earth, and he's modified,
fixed it. Yeah.
And it's the Arcadia, of course, and they bust out and they go into space. But anyway, I'm not going to get into too much more of the plot. It's kind of unnecessary to do so. It's a good plot. It's a nice adventure plot.
It's Harlock, man. You know how it goes.
Great themes.
If you don't watch it.
Yeah. Anyway, what'd you like about it?
What didn't I like about it? It was like, it was so classic and filled with like manly tropes and manly tears. It was fantastic.
Yeah, there's real consequences, and there's real.
Yeah, there's
stakes.
like no fucking around. Like when people die, they die. When planets are wiped out, they're wiped out. It's real shit.
When the planet of the Zol's people is wiped out finally, because there's that gravity bomb of doom or whatever the hell it was.
Oh yeah.
And the guys are all there, and the one girl they had saved dies, and they're like, well, boys, that's it. The last woman has died. Like, our race is now extinct. It's like, damn, that's heavy.
Yeah, right.
Jesus.
I'm like, man.
Then they all end up having to sacrifice themselves later, and it's just to save Harlock, and it's
basically an entire like race of people just gone, extinct,
gone because of the Eludum. And if you're expecting the end to be like, Harlock saves the whole Earth, and that's not how it works, right? Like,
because
this is an origin story.
He's like one guy with one ship.
He's one guy with one ship. Now he does some ridiculous bullshit, and it's silly. And it's going to be like, wait a minute, okay, whatever. He's got that Indiana Jones plot armor stuff going on, right? Like, okay, but yeah, it's not so ridiculous that he can't. Like, when his ship gets attacked, it gets. It doesn't get blown up, but
it gets fucked up.
It takes holes in it. People die. Like, it's intense. It's manly. Like when he's in orbit, when they got Maya and they have Emeraldus and they're gonna kill him, he's not going back. He made a promise, man. He's got to go to that planet and help out Zol's people.
Yep, and he has to basically.
He has to rely on Zol to do his part.
He has
Zol
to
does his
hope
part.
that Zol does his part and saves them. And because Zol is a fucking man's man,
yeah, he is.
He mans up and he does it.
He does, and there's a lot of good. It's a lot of good writing. Like, the Illudum guy who's running Earth being concerned about like, well, we can't have uprisings, so got to let certain things happen. And we can't like Harlock comes back later and they still don't kill him. Like, they don't just ice him.
Oh yeah, he just comes back to Earth. He's like, "What, bitch?"
Yeah, like it's just not. It just doesn't work that way, right? Like they're still gonna. They set up to ambush him when he leaves, right? Like they're gonna kill him off to the side, but they can't kill him.
He's too
on
much of a
Earth
figurehead, yeah.
Yeah, in front of people because he'll become a martyr. So they're like, oh, we can't really do that. So it's interesting.
And there's that fucking
very
weasel collaborator, like
that guy's
the
the
worst
worst.
asshole. He's like a guy from Earth that just like sucks up to the fucking
collaborator
or whatever.
and he's terrible.
He's such a miserable piece of shit.
Yeah, but yeah, the Earth is all screwed up. Like it's intense, man. There are some heavy themes in this. Like you could watch it, like you could show this. It's not all that violent, really.
No,
like,
you can show it to
little
kids,
bit.
and it'll probably like they'll enjoy the action, but like all the like serious business will kind of go over their head.
It
But,
might
like,
be a little slow for them because
Yeah.
it is a little slow to start.
Definitely. But if you're watching it and like you understand what's going on, it's like it's real shit.
It's heavy. It's heavy. It's a heavy movie. But it's really good. I really enjoyed it.
It's way better than I remember because I'd watched it, like 20 years ago.
It makes
or
me
something.
wish. I mean, I suppose they finished Endless Orbit SSX, but it was supposed to have twice as many episodes. I wish it did. Right? 'Cause
Yeah, right.
I wish that had because that's the follow-on series to this. It would have been nice if they had been able to really complete it. But
It's a absolute textbook of like masculine themes. Like how men are supposed to act.
Yep.
What their
very
place
stoic,
is. Yeah.
but not above, shedding a manly tear.
Is filled with manly tears. I went an entire race.
But
of
not
people
being
get
overly
swept up.
emotional. And the ones who are, like the other Illudum guy who's just overly emotional, like he pays the price for that.
Yep.
And he's looked down on for that, right? And the guy who's running Earth, like the caretaker of Earth or whatever, he's kind of based in the end, right? Like he's actually
Oh
pretty
yeah,
good.
the Illudum guy who's like in charge.
Yeah.
He is. Because he doesn't take the bitch way out. He takes the manly way out.
So yeah. Is there anything you didn't like about it?
Nope. Not a damn thing.
Yeah. I mean, my only thing, and I'm not. This isn't even a complaint. Like, just be prepared. It's
a slow burn, yeah.
It's a little bit of a slow burn, especially to start. I love the way they did it because it builds tension and it makes sense. Like it's not slow in the like it's boring sense where you're like, oh, something's got to happen. No. It's just like
Yeah, like if you're waiting for it to just jump right into Wacky Harlock Adventure, that's not.
it's
this
not going to
movie.
happen. That is
It's
not.
a
gonna
very
happen.
serious, very like well written, well paced.
But at the end of the day, it is.
introduction to Captain Harlock.
It's still a good adventure romp. It's just that it's
Like
it's
this-
heavy.
Well, you got to get through the first half of the movie, then it's pirate adventure.
But even
more or
then,
less.
it's still damn.
Oh yeah, it's serious business.
It's serious business.
But that's why it's a classic, man.
It looks good too. Like I gotta say,
Yeah,
I don't
like-
think it's a 4K like remaster or anything.
I don't
but
think so.
It's pretty. It
Yeah.
still looks pretty
No,
good.
it looks
like
pretty good.
for something that old. Like yeah, I have no complaints, man. I enjoyed it a lot. They were really good. The bird's the wackiest thing.
Yeah, right. Because it has like I don't know, its neck is like a piece
It's
of
a
rope.
crazy looking thing.
But yeah, everything else pretty solid.
Yeah. Anyway, check it out. Check out My Youth in Arcadia, Arcadia My Youth, whatever it might be. It's a very good introduction to Captain Harlock and what that's all about without having to watch, 20, 30, 40, 50 episodes.
Yep. Oh God, more than that. There's so many different like little series and stuff.
Well, yeah, never mind. If you get Galaxy Express 999, I think it's like over 100 episodes. So
it's very
it gets real crazy.
It's very Space Adventure Cobra in that regard.
Yeah.
A lot of similar character designs too. Now that you mention
Yeah,
it.
it's that 70s style, man.
Yeah.
I love it.
No, but
These are all very Matsumoto, though. Like, they all look like
But if
all
you
Leiji Matsumoto stuff.
remember the beginning of that Harlock, the
Cobra movie.
Cobra movie
Yes,
we did? Toshiro looks exactly like that fucking wizard guy.
Yeah.
That was right at the beginning.
Oh, that's probably an homage, right?
Yeah,
Like,
but I mean, it's exactly.
that's probably an homage. But the main character's like Cobra does not look like he came out of Leiji Matsumoto's universe. A little bit, but not really.
No, not really.
Yeah. Anyway, that's all I got to say about Arcade.
That's
Man.
it.
It's good
Do
stuff.
yourself a favor and watch it and cry some manly tears.
Yeah, or womanly tears. Actually, no. If you're a woman, you'll still cry manly tears.
You have no
That's
choice.
that's not a bad thing.
At any rate, so that's that. I have no idea what we're gonna do next week, but we're gonna do it. So,
Yeah, man.
Until then, enjoy your week.
Well, that's all for today, everyone. We'd like to thank all of you for tuning into another episode of the Gaijin Animation Appreciation Hour. Please remember to like and subscribe, and may your entertainment be always, well, entertaining.